welcome to Kerry's Cards. Thanks for popping along today to try this tutorial. Hopefully you'll have fun making it. I'm not quite sure what the name of this item is, but it's basically a gift box. I've done a few versions here, different sizes. We're going to concentrate on this video using 12 by 12 pieces of cardstock that will end up making a gift box, and this is 5.5 inches that diameter length by 2 3/4 and 2 3/4. Again, this one uses a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock. This one uses an A4 piece of card from the UK, ends up being 6 inches by 2 by 2. And this one uses a 10 inch by 8 8.25 inch piece of card, and this one folds down. Its final size is 2.5 by 2.5 by 2.5. And the beauty of this is the lid is contained or attached to the actual box, and it's like a self-popping up lid and self-sealing box. So there we are. So let's do this one for you as well. This one's much stiffer because it's made of hard card. This version here we've made using 12 by 12 pretty paper. You can see how that one opens up. But what we're going to use here, now you might have some card stock. I'm going to make this one using white card. You might have some 12 by 12. You might be scrapbooking and have some 12 and 12 card that you can use there. But what I've done in this one is this is a backing piece of card from a lot of the pretty pattern paper that we get from Stampin' Up, and it often comes with a little slightly thicker piece of card at the back to hold it for transportation, and I never throw mine away, I keep them. So what we'll do is make one with this one, and then not. So this will fit a tin of mini cocktails, can of cocktails, or you could put something liquidy like a bottle of shampoo, bubble bath and things like that, because it's quite solid. If you were going to make one out of the paper version, again, this is quite rigid once it's made up, but I would suggest that's probably going to be better for something like a pair of socks or a scarf or something like that, not as heavy as a bottle with liquid in. Okay, so let's get crafting. I'm going to use some papers from the Marbled Elegance, which is currently on the online exclusives on Stampin' Up website. The product code is 164919 if you are interested, but the details will be in the information below. All the measurements for the project you'll find in the information below in the write-up, including that for the two other size boxes. So the one using the A4 and the one using the slightly smaller piece of card, 10 by 8.25. But we'll start using this one first. So let's put that to one side. You will need for this a scoring board of some format. I'm going to use my Stampin' Up trimmer because it's got the scoring board on it. I have my bone folder ready, my snips and my boo. So let's get crafting. So if we put this in first, the first measurement we're going to score at is 2 3/4 inches. The next one is 5.5 inches. Following that is 8.25 inches. So that one there. And the last score on this one is 11 inches, sorry, 11 inches. I'm then going to turn it around 90 degrees, and we will start with, okay, I can see there I've got some marks on the card from somewhere, so I'm going to turn it round and make sure my marks are going to be at the bottom of the box. So I'm just making sure that that mark there will be in the bit underneath. So I'm going to score my first score line here, which is going to be at 2 3/4. So this is the square part or the base of the box. Then we're going to do the height of the box, which is scored at 8.25 inches. We then score at 9 5/8, which is the first big one after the halfway mark. And again, score at 11 inches. So this is our basic lines all scored in there. I'm not sure if you can see them very well with the reflection of the camera. You might see them better on that side. Okay, so then I'll put the trimmer away I'm going to take my ruler and a pencil, and on the, so the first score line down from the top is the top of the box, then this is the concertina bit that we're making, this is the height of the box, and then this is the base. On this bit here, the first two lines, on the second score line down, in between each of these score lines, what you need to measure is at 1.1 3/8 of an inch. Like so. And then we're going to join each of those up to the top score line at an angle. Should be 45 degrees if my measurements are correct. So that's our cut, what we're going to be our cut line shortly, but we're not going to cut them just yet. We're going to make some alterations to this beforehand and cut some other bits. We're going to use our bone folder and we're going to make our score lines nice and strong because it's just make it a sturdy box. So go along and each of your score lines. Last one. And the sides. Last one. So we have to get our snips then, or some bigger scissors if you prefer. And on this one, we're going to fold over the top of the box and we're going to cut down on each of these to create little triangles. One. 2. 3. 4. Put those away. So that's our triangles that we've made at the top. Then we need to make our tabs on this side. So the first one is there to there. And then we're going to get rid of this bit. And that. Actually, that can go at a tab size there. Then tab to there. And we get rid of this one down here. I'm going to get my bigger scissors to cut these because it's easier. Up to the bottom score line. There we are. Get rid of all of those. So this is your template now to make the box. Okay. That's our template. You might have your triangles that way and then cut this tab out here. That's absolutely fine. But if you can try and make it look like this, then that's easier to follow on in the instructions. Then what we do is this top bit here is going to fold this way back on itself. So you hold it and score it down like that. So at this point, you can start decorating your box with pretty paper. I'm going to use, I think this pink floral. I quite like that against the white. Or maybe red. Oh, decisions. If I was going to do that way, I'd do the patterns that way. Maybe I'll do that one. I quite like that pattern. So remember when you're doing your decorating, think about the way your paper sits. So you want your, I want my pattern, because in my head that should be upright, not at the side. I don't suppose it really matters. And then we're going to cut our measurements according to fit that. So for here we need 4 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4 for there. Those pieces are 2.5 inches wide. So I'm going to cut 2 strips of 2.5 inches. And this is still 12 inches down here. So that's my first 2 strips. That's for each of those areas there. And I'm going to group them together. And then I'm going to, on top of each other, I know this needs to be 5 1/4 inches. And I'm going to cut that twice out of these sheets because that's 2 pieces there. 1, 2. And then I'm going to do 5 1/4 there. And what that should leave you with is another little piece here, which needs to be cut at 3/4 inch. So you just cut that in half. And if my calculations are correct, which they should be, then those pieces there, there's no leftovers at all, will fit on the top of your box. Now you could, if you wanted to, you could go the other pattern. And turn it round and decide, or what would you choose? Let me know, would you go the dark plain, or as I say plain, the red side, it's just red, or would you go for the red and gold side? I actually quite like that side now I've put it that way. No, I'm going to go this way, I'm going to go red. So what you can do now you're at this particular point in time is stick those down. Let's move that out of the way. My Tombow glue. This is one of those papers where it's so pretty on, so pretty on both sides. I feel bad sticking down the gold and not showing it. But this will give me, I suppose, what I could class as a clean, crisp looking box rather than a sparkly box. Could use this as a festive one as well because it's real red. So we'll just give this a few minutes or a couple of seconds to dry down with our Tombow glue. I could use my stamp and seal for this, but I like using my Tombow because it gives me a little bit of chance to move things around if I haven't put it down as quite as symmetrically as I'd like first time round. Let's put that on there. Oh. Next one. Next one. And the last one. There we are. So that's those all together. Now, you have a couple of options here. As long as that's the right way round, then we're good, that's fine. So the first thing we can do, we can either use our double-sided tape here or our glue. Again, I'm going to use the glue here because it gives me time to move it and change it. But you possibly don't need to, because if you fold that over on itself, if your score lines are just right, then when you pop that over on itself, it should line up perfectly. So there's no awkwardness of trying to hold the box together. You should be able to just lie it down flat and then glue that one. So I've glued the one tab and just hold it for a little while. The glue will hold it in place for a lot longer. And I don't glue the top tab just yet. And the reason I say that is because it's quite a stiff box. So you need to wait until the end before you glue that last bit to make sure it's not quite as tight as you think it should be. You need to give it like a millimetre or two of give. So that's now glued nice and symmetrical. I'm then going to make the base of my box. Now I know my seal is there, so I want this tab here to be the last one that goes down because that's going to be like the front of the box with the seal line at the back. That's my front one. So I want the back one to go in first, which is quite good because it hides the dirty mark. That was quite fortuitous. Pop one over. Then put some more glue down. So this is such a sturdy box because we've used the card. The base is so solid. And then the last one over and just try and square it up nicely. You can at this point take a ruler and hold the bottom bit and do it that way. And press it down so that all the glue is all touching on all sides. And now we've still got our tab here. Now what we do with our box now is we make sure these lines here bend in on themselves and our lid goes down on itself like that. At this particular point is quite easy, like so. It's nice and tight. And then I always do this bit last because it does have a little bit of a gap on it. And that would be, see how it's a little bit wider than there, but by doing it like that, it means the box lid will go up and down much easier. So when you're ready, what you can do is put some glue in on the side like that. And then when you're ready, just press and hold it in place. So I've got the lid down on the box, at the top you can't see in it. And I'm pressing and holding that until it's dry, just using one hand. You want to wait for quite a while for this one, so it might be worth doing double-sided tape if you prefer, or the stamp and seal. But again, I like this, as I've said before, because it just gives me a little bit of wriggle room. But because it's wet, if you let go now, the pressure on the lid will make it pop open. So you do need to hold it for a little bit longer than you might ordinarily do for a normal join. But you can see that's a nice tight top. And there we have another box that we've just made with the pop-up lid. Okay, now obviously if you do it with the paper, pretty paper, 12 by 12, then you don't need to cut these measurements out. But you could if you wanted to. And this way it uses the other side of the paper, so you can see both sides of the paper, which is a lovely way of utilising it. Remember I said the patterns are so nice. And then here you have your other two sizes. So I think that should be it. So it's not too long to hold open, and there you have it. Now obviously you can see the writing in there. If you use plain 12 by 12, then you'd be okay and you wouldn't see that inside. So there you are. Why don't you tell me what you're going to pop in yours when you've made yours? Thanks for popping along and enjoy crafting. Thank you very much. Bye.